Thank you for listening to Dialogues on Democracy, stories and expertise from IFES's 25 years of supporting sustainable democracy. I'm Joseph Marcus. The Philippine elections will be held on May 13th. As the Philippine Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, prepares for the upcoming elections, I spoke to Beverly Hagerdon Thakur, IFES's Chief of Party in the Philippines. Beverly, can you please provide us with some background on the upcoming elections? What seats are being contested, and how will these elections differ from the 2010 elections?
Well, the upcoming May 2013 elections are a midterm national and local synchronized election. So it's quite a long ballot. 2013 is the second nationwide implementation of an automated election system, and therefore COMELEC is applying lessons learned from its first nationwide implementation of automation, which occurred in 2010. The 2010 elections were perceived to be highly successful, and this was reflected in public opinion surveys. This may be different in 2013. The margin of victory between the losing and winning candidates this time around will be much narrower, and therefore the scrutiny on the election process itself, and in particular the technology, will be much greater.
As you mentioned before, 2010 was the first time the optical scan machines were used nationwide in the Philippines. What were some of the precinct-level issues, and what steps have been taken to correct some of the issues?
Well, in 2010, many of the precincts had to be clustered together because each precinct had to contain one of these precinct count optical scan machines, and only 80,000 were leased. So instead of there being only 100 to 200 voters per precinct, 800 to 1,000 voters might be assigned to one specific precinct. This led to much longer lines, and therefore a lot of work had to be done over the past few years to streamline the process through the polling stations themselves, so there will be less crisscrossing of voters within a very small classroom, and therefore an in-processing and out-processing of voters in a much more controlled and less chaotic environment.
What should citizens and observers expect on Election Day?
In the Philippines, turnout normally ranges in the 70 to 80% range. So this election should be no different. We should see a very high turnout of voters. We should also see that there are fewer problems with the voter list in places such as the autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao. COMELEC has also been working on accessibility programs for persons with disabilities. I would also expect to see a little bit less chaos in the precincts themselves, but I think we also need to expect that things will not be perfect, and there will still be some technical problems and security issues, but overall I expect the day to be fairly uneventful. I'm particularly focused on observing a random manual audit process, which will be happening at the close of polls, and ensure that that manual count matches up with the automated count, and this should be a credibility building measure as well.
How will these elections affect the future elections in the Philippines?
The 2013 midterm elections are seen as setting the stage for the country's next presidential and vice presidential synchronized elections in 2016. There have been several initiatives launched by the Election Commission for the 2013 elections that are planned to be fully operational by 2016. This includes a more strict enforcement of campaign finance regulations and also the improvement of physical accessibility of polling stations. I am also optimistic that a sorely needed revision of the Omnibus Election Code can take place within the next year in time to be implemented for the 2016 elections. A clarification on the party list law provisions would also be greatly needed, while more focus and attention should also be paid to increasing the accessibility of the registration and voting process for overseas foreign workers.
For more dialogues on democracy, information about our work in the Philippines and Beverly Hagerdon Thakur, please visit our website, www.ifes.org.